Hey folks, Cliff Dweller here, Sloan's Wilderness Expeditions. I am back in the Hoosier National Forest. I am at the Indian Salina Lake Recreation Area. Today I am going to be backpacking the Two Lakes Trail. The Two Lakes Trail at Indian Salina Lakes Recreation Area of the Hoosier National Forest is a designated National Recreation Trail. The full loop I would be doing is 13 miles long, meandering through a hardwood forest with scenic views of Indian and Salina Lakes. The Forest Service maintains several wildlife openings for deer, turkey, and quail, which is why I'm wearing orange on this adventure, as it is turkey season and hunting is allowed in the Hoosier National Forest. So I started the trail from this trailhead. I am going to be hiking clockwise all the way around, and it is almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now, so I've got kind of a late start. Seems to be my thing, and I still hope to hike a good half to 2/3 of the trail before I pick out a campsite for the night. Alright, come up on this interpretive loop trail here. It's not very long, and if my memory serves, this takes us back to an old homestead. So I'm going to go off the main trail just a little bit to check it out. Here's our first good view of Salina Lake. The Rickenbaugh family bought the land here in 1856. Of course, at that time there was no lake, just a creek and miles of forest. In 1874, they built this home. All the timber, of course, came from the forest, and all the rock that we see came from the sandstone cliffs here out of the forest. 4 generations of Rickenbaughs lived in this house, and the Forest Service finally bought it from them in 1968, after which they constructed the dams to create the lakes. Over the decades, the Rickenbaugh home also served as a local post office, as well as a gathering place for church services. Long before homesteaders came to the area, Native Americans used this area for farming and hunting. These sandstone bluffs served as shelter. Even after the Rickenbaugh family settled here, Native Americans remained in the area, allegedly living in a cave. So while it's amazing to look at the Rickenbaugh house and think about what it was like to be a settler back in the day, it's even more amazing to me to stop and think about the Native Americans who first occupied the lands. It's just beautiful. See, it's things like that that really slow me down. You know, I come out to other ages to see a homestead real quick, and next thing you know, I'm exploring all around it, checking out the little sandstone cliffs, and just imagining all the history, and taking more time than I had really anticipated. But that's what I do. I explore. I'm an explorer. They really need to develop a scratch-a-sniff type way of making videos, because springtime smells amazing out here. So many wildflowers, redbud trees. That would make an awesome campsite for somebody. Ouch! My camera tumbled while trying to set up a shot. I didn't immediately notice any damage, but it turns out it left 2 hairline cracks on the screen protector of my camera lens. This caused a noticeable reflection in most of my video from here on out. hiking geese up here. More than 100 years ago, the community of Winding Branch was located here, with a church, school, and blacksmith shop, now under the waters of Salina Lake. This looks like a nice spot to take a quick break. I'll have to look more into this America Discovery Trail. I've seen it now twice down here. The American Discovery Trail is a 6,800-mile cross-country trail composed of many other existing trails and connector routes, and is still a work in progress. Unlike other long-distance trails, it is not strictly wilderness, as it passes through cities, farmland, and wild areas, beginning in Delaware and ending in California. We've reached the connector trail. The Two Lakes Trail is one giant loop, and then has a trail straight through the middle between the lakes for people who want a shorter hike. Obviously, we will not be taking that. Indian Lake. The sun is sinking fast on me. I've seen a couple of really good campsites, but I actually passed somebody camping in one, just him and his dog. Literally the only other person I've seen out here on this slope today with the same idea as me. So I'm trying to put a little distance now between me and him and his dog, so that we both have plenty of solitude. Gotta be something out here, right? Well, it's times like this that I really wish Catfish was with me. He would have absolutely loved this find. Yeah, that'll do. So yeah, I'm kind of using this adventure here at Two Lakes Trail to test out some gear. Got a little 2-man tent that is about 2.5 pounds lighter than what my Kelty 2-man tent is. Of course, it uses trekking poles as the poles instead. So that's kind of new to me there. Anything to cut some weight. And of course, you've already seen my my Gossamer Gear backpack. That thing weighs about 3.5 pounds less than my Osprey backpack that I typically use. That Osprey is like a 70 liter. It can be packed out. And that's a good thing, because I am a budget backpacker. I can't afford all your ultralight stuff. But the Gossamer Gear G420 that I got is like 23, 24 ounces. And it's a 42 liter. So I had to cut down on size. That means figuring out what you can take and what you can't. You leave behind all the little things and all the little luxuries, and you make it work. And I'll tell you what, I could feel the difference. Heck, probably hiked, what, about 6 miles, 7 miles here today already, and yeah, it was so much better. I did weigh my pack before I left with everything in it, food, water, everything. It came in around 22 pounds. And that honestly kind of surprised me. You don't realize how much things add up, because I had cut quite a bit out. And that makes me think that last backpacking adventure I did, Adventure Hiking Trail, the one that really, really wore me out, I must have been 30, 35 pounds in that thing, thinking back now. And it's no wonder Wow. So yeah, gotta cut the weight off the packs, but you know, I gotta cut the weight off the belly too, because the knees and the feet and the back, they don't care where the weight's at, whether it's in a backpack or it's on your belly. It's still all compressing you.
Good morning, folks. It is a balmy 37 degrees this morning. Part of me wants to crawl back into the tent and back into my sleeping bag and wait for that sun to warm things up a little bit. And part of me wants to get packed up and get on the move.
Well, almost leave no trace. The best things about waking up in the forest is all the wildlife. Of course, here in Indiana, it's mostly just birds and squirrels. But I just happened upon about 6 deer. Kind of freaked me out because I wasn't expecting it and they weren't expecting me. They took off running over the ridge before I could get my camera turned on to get any kind of video. But it was an experience, whether it's on camera or not. And that's why I love coming out to these forests. Sometimes in these hills of southern Indiana, it's easy for me to forget that I'm still in Indiana, since the area I'm from is such flat land. So this is where we finally diverged from the America Discovery Trail. Kind of cool to know that we got to camp along the America Discovery Trail, huh? Okay, now that is a badass campsite set up here. Now the Hoosier National Forest here, that owns the Two Lakes Loop and all, they don't have any designated campsites, so it's all dispersed camping out here. Now I know some people are all about the leave no trace ethics, but you know there are going to be people coming out here camping regardless. So things like this, I'm okay with. As long as they don't leave trash, that's alright. It's a pretty little alcove. And look at that, a campsite right in the middle of it with firewood just waiting for you.
Back in the 18th century, Indiana was part of the Northwest Territory. Where I'm hiking here is the eastern border of the Vincennes Tract. The French took this land from the Native Americans. Then the British took it from the French. And finally, General George Rogers Clark took it from the British in 1779. The Native Americans ceded it to the United States in the Treaty of Greenville in 1795.
Thanks for the warning. Well, this is Indiana. A hike through the forest wouldn't be complete without fighting a clear-cut area from logging. Looks like a good spot for a quick break and to refill water supplies. I was going to say it looks like Tarzan's been here with all them vines, but the way they're all jumbled up, that's probably more George of the Jungle territory. Trail's a little wet. Nope. Back where I started. There you go, folks. The Two Lakes Trail here at Indian Salina Lake Recreation Area in the Hoosier National Forest. I did probably around 12 miles, and a lot of little exploration, of course, and such, and I don't know, wildflowers galore, dozens of creek crossings, and all the lake views, and just enough rock features to keep it even more interesting. I absolutely loved it. It's perfect for a good hike. It is great for an overnight backpack. So, till next time, peace out.